Hi, Yvonne.
Hiya, my dear. Hello.
Oh, I can't wait to get into this. So today we're going to talk about all this malarkey about living well with HIV. Did you ever think when you first had HIV you could live well with it? What did it mean to you when you first found out?
Not dying. Remember, yeah, living well. It's all right. I'm starting to stutter because when you say that, I've got so used to saying to people, U equals U, undetectable is untransmittable. But you're
Yeah,
right, most of us don't fathom out once we start taking the tablets. So what does that mean for us? And as you've asked me just now, yeah, I had to get my head round I wasn't dying or I wasn't gonna die.
yeah,
And that's
yeah.
big because I didn't realize until I was ill for the first time and I panicked because I thought, am I sick again? Is it coming
Mm,
back?
mm, mm.
And so you've had all of this fear, and I had all of this pushback against the medicine. I'm not taking them. I'm not taking them. They're toxic. They're going to kill us. They're not this and that.
Mm,
And then you start
mm.
taking those, and your mind starts steadying down, and you think,
Yeah,
okay, then you get your first set of results, and then you realize, okay, CD4, that's my
yeah,
immune system. And they give you this number, and it's like
that's
winning the
right.
lottery because you
Yeah,
start, I want it to go up, make it go up, up,
yeah, yeah,
up. And the higher it's
yeah.
getting, the more you're realizing, yo, I'm
Mm.
living, I'm living. And then you hear the other one, viral load, and you think, how low can we go?
God,
How
how
low
low
can we
can we?
go? And you want to get that below 40 because that's undetectable. Because the
Yeah,
thing in the back of your mind is, I can't pass it on. I'm safe. It's almost like you don't realize how much you live for for the acceptance of other people
yeah.
and the contact and the connection and all that stuff that HIV makes you feel you can't have. And these meds come and they are allowing you to return to that space, even though you may not feel it confidently. So that was one lot of me beginning
You know
to
what?
understand I could live well.
I absolutely hear you, and got a similar experience when I first was diagnosed with HIV. My living well meant taking your medication. That's what living well meant, and medication was a big deal to get your head around.
Yeah.
Having to take something for life, especially when you're relatively young and you've got your whole life ahead of you, you kind of think only people that are not me have to take medication their whole life.
Old
Why do I
people.
have to take? Huh?
Old people.
Well, that's
Medications
what I
for
wanted to
old people.
say, but because I'm old now, yeah. So I kind of felt, yeah, only old people got to take medication their whole life, and living well meant you take your medication every
Medication.
single day. For me, living well was not being so drunk that I forget my medication,
I
and
hear you.
not going out partying the next day and forgetting. So living well was all about the medication for me. And equally, for those that don't understand what CD4 is, aka your immune system,
System.
it's HIV slang, isn't it? Not
Yeah.
slang like our language.
It is. It's
CD4.
our it is our speak because they're the two numbers that you are taught first. And you're right. I didn't think of anything else in terms of living well. The first thing I had to get round is, yeah, and that's what they ask you when you come in as well. The whole focus is on your
Yeah,
medication.
yeah.
How did you get? Go on.
No, I was going to say, and what you said about living well meant that how low can you go, meaning your viral system. So for people that don't understand what the viral load is, it's basically like saying the amount of virus that's in your body. You want to get to a stage where there's no virus in your body. And the way that you get there is by taking your medication, and it suppresses the virus, which brings us on to U equals U. Do you want to talk a little bit about U equals U?
So if you imagine, because you're quite right, you've just said the ideal is to have zero virus in your body.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Zero means you cannot transmit and you're well, and there is nothing for other people to be afraid of or us to be afraid of. But getting to that point for us at the moment, no vaccine, no cure. So the medication is the nearest we've got to it at the moment, and I know that we've got some injectables. So that's the amount of time for us. Usually every day we're on medication, one a day, every day. Whereas if you're on injection, that could be every other month. An amount is put into your system, and it just gently does what it's supposed to be doing. But instead of tablets every other month, you have an injection, and then you can go away and forget about being positive. For me, U equals U is the freedom to have sex without a condom with somebody who wants to have sex with me, and not worry, worry that I can transmit, and to be categorically honest with them when I say I cannot transmit. And that only happens as long as I'm on the medication and my the amount of virus in my system is undetectable. So it's key that I remain undetectable. And I have, for me, love, it's about a healthy relationship with those medication, with those tablets. If I see them as something I've got to be afraid of, or a reminder of my HIV, the focus is on what it's on the HIV, it's on the stigma, it's on the negative. Whereas for me, I had to reframe it and say, this is about my health, it's about my immune system, it's what it brings to me so I can do the other stuff. So I stopped seeing it as the reminder and the bogeyman and the horror. The HIV is just a virus. It is suppressed in my body, and it allows me to live. And then I had to start thinking again about what did I want before I thought I was dying. What were the things that I was working towards that I'd given up? And the biggest thing I think I'd given up on was not just love, but life. So I had to pick up all of those dreams again. So what about you? How did you do it? How did you make sense of it?
Well, I remember thinking to myself, so before HIV, I had the career, I had, play hard, work hard, I had all these goals, and HIV just literally floored me, absolutely floored me. So I thought to myself, if one must take medication, if I've got one here, I just want to say, this is quite empowering, actually, to be able to do this,
Do it, one tablet a day.
One tablet a day keeps the doctor away. So I thought to myself, as I get older, I hear things like diabetes, like heart disease, like, diabetes, heart disease,
cholesterol,
high blood pressure, that's the one.
And cholesterol,
They're the standard, aren't they? They're the standard ones. And I thought, and cholesterol, that's another one. And I thought, when I get older, I don't want to have to take more than one pill. I don't want to have to take something for, diabetes and cholesterol and high blood pressure and all this stuff, diabetes. So I thought, I want to work towards staying as healthy as possible.
That's good.
Now, I was relatively young, so I started, meditating. I started doing yoga for a while, and then I stopped, and then I turned back to drinking and some smoking, and then I got fed up and realised, and so I've had a journey. It wasn't straightforward. It wasn't just all of a sudden, I went on this wonderful path and, everything's great. It took a really long time, and that was my journey. And also I thought to myself, I want to try plant-based diet for that same reason, because I actually thought to myself, if people like Beyonce and people, who have a hell of a lot more money than me are trying vegan diets, maybe it's something that I can consider later on in life. I had no intention of doing it straight away, but I thought it's something that I would like to aspire to, because apparently it sounds like it's a healthy thing to do and stuff like that. But I didn't do a lot of research. It was just at the back of my mind. And then I watched a few documentaries and done my own research, and then I decided to change my diet. So for me, living well is about nutrition, It's about your emotional health. It's about your physical health. It's about your relationships. It's about boundaries. It's about all those things in one. And there are so many different ways to kind of manage all of that, because I think there's a lot of information overload. But one of the big, and I've been in therapy for a number of years as well, which was amazing. But I think, you know, the biggest thing for me that I've taken out of all of that is there's something around discipline, and there's something about balance. You know, there's something around balance, because you're told, well, don't eat meat because it does this to you, or don't eat vegetables because they spray it. Don't eat sweets because it's got too much sugar. Don't eat honey because it's got that, you know, and on and on and on it goes. And I think it's about balance. So I think there's key things that I can do to improve my overall well-being, and particularly around nutrition is big for me, because I've felt the difference, yeah, because of the links of a plant-based diet with diabetes, etc. And I've done a lot of research on this. There's a lot of studies that show that a plant-based diet actually reduces the risk of what I've mentioned: cholesterol, heart disease, you know, high blood pressure, etc. And it improves the immune system, particularly of people living with HIV. Papers have been kind of written about it. So I didn't know that at the time. I just felt I want to live well. But the last thing that I'll say on this, when I first started looking at living well, it was really about exploring what meditation was. And it took a long time to actually understand what all that was about. Then it took me a very long time to truly understand what yoga was all about. And then, you know, and then, because it was easy with the vegan diet, I started looking better. My belly went down. I was lighter on my feet. I could move more easily. That was kind of an obvious impact, but the other things took time. So that's what living well means to me. And and the golden thread that runs right through this is about self-flipping love. Well, that's another thing. What is that? But that's the most important thing. You must love yourself first, even before you can think about loving others in a way. Because I think a lot of people that I've met with HIV, Yvonne, I don't know if it's coincidental, but I see it in myself and I see it in others, you know, giving and helping others and doing stuff for others. And I think some of that is a smokescreen because we don't feel worthy.
I'd agree. I think, and even if, so it's not to say if you don't love yourself, you'll end up with HIV. It's about spending the time, because I had to, in my unpacking of how I acquired HIV, it would have, if it hadn't have been HIV, it'd have been something else. The HIV was just because I didn't know how to say to someone, this is what I need emotionally, this is what I want. I was so busy trying to be everything for them, and it wouldn't have occurred to me to say, no, if you're not wearing a condom. I wouldn't have had the confidence to put my emotional, physical, mental needs, even financial needs. Can you provide for me? I didn't see that. I was just busy. Is this what you want? Is this what you want? Am I doing this? I'd say if you're it doesn't matter whether you're a male or female, it's about you're so into the roles that society has given you. You're so busy doing that to the best of your ability. The fact that it may not be working for you isn't challenged. And so for me, I think in every aspect of life, if you'd have looked at me, you'd have seen me overextending myself in work, overextending in my friendships, being supportive, being loving, giving out, asking no questions, taking crap, no boundaries. And sometimes it's not even friends being horrible. But if anyone asked me for anything, I was always out there supporting them and not even registering physically that I was burning out, not registering. And so life doesn't have to be horrible. My immune system was burning out at a rate of knots. And I think when you say self-love, that concept is more than just looking nice. It was about having the power to say no and not be afraid of the consequences on other people, let alone myself. To have that level of confidence. And for those who've got it, they're looking at you like, what on God's earth? Because it's the first thing a child has, but it's also the first thing that's taken away from us, our ability to say no. Because from you start saying no and you're starting to be slapped, what they're saying is your boundaries aren't okay. When you're being shouted at, your boundaries aren't okay. When people ignore you, your boundaries are not okay. So I learned to not exist, and not exist very, very well. So, sweetheart, for me, Louise, it was the same, because I unpicked how did I acquire HIV. And when I look back, I've said once I was a train wreck waiting to happen. And I understand if it hadn't been HIV, it'd been something else. I am thankful that I was in a group of people eventually where I could stop running from the diagnosis, to be able to live, first of all, take the medication long enough to see it working so that I wasn't afraid, and be able to sit down and ask myself, what the hell has happened to you? Because when I started asking that question and started unpicking, with the help of therapists as well, when I started looking at that, I looked at my attitude to sex, where it came from, but the amount of arenas in which there was a lot of self-loathing and self-hatred, too many. And so, like you, I've been trying to find ways to bring in the love. And it's not easy, because psychologically, once you're trained to be invisible at all levels, to being seen on your own terms, unafraid, that's a courageous act of self-love in itself. And so every day I practice trying to put myself in there, because you're right, it's not a straightforward journey. And I can see with all my passion that I've run into projects and lost myself again, and then have to sit down and go, okay, Yvonne, reel back and be kind. Now, Gabor Mate talks about kind compassion, and to be able to make mistakes and not hear a West Indian mother's voice in your head back going, suck tea and curse you out. And to be able to say, okay, honey, reel back. It's okay. We can learn. You got this. You got this. And get it right at another level, and then keep on moving. And I think we are work in progress, but what I love is to find a space, men or women, who are on this road where we can have these conversations and move on. I focus on the HIV because that was the ultimate brick wall that I hit, because life has mauled me way, and I wasn't having them. I was very capable at moving beyond what should have been a no. HIV was the one I couldn't say no to, but that had the most effect. It was also the most painful in terms of hitting a brick wall, because the price I've paid is my body. And so taking tablets is something, an act of love that I've had to come to terms with, not trying to fight, looking for other ways, but a way that is consistent, that works, that does what it says. And I've got there. And now you're right. The lesson that I learned in sexual health, in looking at myself, and now take, and they're saying, yes, Yvonne, you're pre-diabetic. You have got a high blood pressure. And they're showing me the tablets. But this time, instead of being afraid, I'm saying, okay, how long? What are the side effects? What can I do to manage these better? But ultimately, you're right. The game changer for me is going to be, how can I change what I eat? So that how I live is for as long and as well as possible. Because you're talking about a vegan diet. For me, if you're anything like me who's busy, when you say that, I've got visions of pounding yam by the riverside. How are you managing it? How are you managing it? Because I'm just thinking,
First thing, I have to say to you, I just love how articulate you are. And when you talk, you're just mirroring, literally mirroring my experience and exactly how I feel. You know, that's why I love talking to you. But um, I think so. In terms of a vegan diet, in terms of that, I would love to have maybe the next time we talk, because I'm conscious of the Wi-Fi being a little bit flaky. Maybe the next time we talk, we just talk about food and diet and eating, because it does help HIV, but HIV isn't all. You know, how do we just live life once we get over that shock and we kind of start? How do we start to progress? But just a little thing that I would say is I absolutely adore food. And when I say adore food, I mean, you know, like I would travel all around the world. I'd have things like sheep's brains and flipping cow's balls and, you know, foie gras, you know, everything. You know, I just love food, and I love traveling around and eating different foods from all over the world. I try everything. I would stop things like, you know, like bushmeat. So, you know, like there's certain things that I couldn't, but I love food. So I had to get my head around that and try and understand it. But I turned it around for it to be quite empowering. I felt quite empowered. It was something that I could do and I wanted to do. And I said to myself that how much longer am I going to do the same thing? I've been eating meat from the time I was more or less born. From a child, I've been having dairy, you know. Am I going to die doing the same stuff? Why can't I try something different? And that's how it started. And I started off pescatarian, just having fish. And then after that, I just went straight to vegan after watching something on Netflix. But yeah, you know, I wanted really to touch on living well with HIV, and maybe over the next few kind of times that we can talk about that a little bit more, because yeah, I think that would be good. How does that sound to you?
As always, brilliant.
Yeah.
And I think what is great for me is the space, to be honest. I don't want to gloss. I don't want people to think the journey was easy. And if
Yeah.
people sit with us and they hear and they think, oh my God, I'm not the only one. So that
Yeah.
is part of the struggle, or that is part of the joy, then good. Because I don't want people to think that to get to a space where we sit and we're laughing now was ever
Yeah.
an easy journey. It's been hard, but I want
Yeah.
people to know that they're not alone and that it
Yeah.
can be done, and that we do fight to claim your life back. Fight. It is absolutely worth it. And that doesn't
It
mean that I've
is.
got this wow life. The bins still need emptying and the bills still need paying, and I still got a hustle to make. The plus and minus
Yeah.
sign match. Actually, I'd like the plus sign to be more.
Yeah.
So I'm still Jenny on the block, but I want more Jennies or more Kens. I want more of us to come forward, because the sadness for me is how long I'd
Yeah.
been. It was how long I was in denial, how long, and at what cost to my immune system, because the doctors had to work magic to get me up and well again.
Yeah.
And then it's the emotional hauling myself over coals. And for that, the precious gift of life is disappearing away, where
Yeah.
really come onto the planet, enjoy the life, enjoy it. I want more people to get to a place where we're happy with the
Yeah.
meds, minimum side
Yeah.
effects. We are confident people showing up in the world, doing whatever we want.
Yeah.
And that means if you never mention the word HIV ever again, but you were
Yeah.
okay yourself, that's job done. Get on with living.
Actually, I'm just going to, this is a bit of a random thing, but it came to my mind earlier on. People take, like, women take a contraceptive pill every day, one pill a day,
Mm,
you know, and there's no stigmatization or judgment around that.
mm.
Anyway, okay, Yvonne, lovely to talk to you again. Have an amazing day. And I bow to the divine in you, my sister.
As I bow to the divine in you, my sister, always
Sending you
a
love.
blessing.
I'll talk to you
Sending you love.
after.
Take care.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.